like in the 90s, you always have like this gay best friend in TV series. Got a bit of an ass. I think it's the same with you, like knitting. I have a plan about making like a fruit hat. I have a plan about making like a fruit hat. I once had one, but it broke. So that's a project for the future. It's my queen's gown when I'm doing the Danish queen. And I actually made these medals.
So who is Damon?
Damon is like what I will call a bodega kind of woman, inspired by the woman hanging out on the bodega, always dressing up too much. She's vulgar in her way of speaking. She's unbehaved. She likes pink and she likes red hair. And usually I don't have a plan for my makeup. I just go with the flow.
So when you get ready for a drag show, how long does the process take?
It depends on what kind of show you're gonna do. If I do the same show, of course, then there's been some preparation time before to figure out the jokes and the songs and everything. But then it's just plug and play, and then you do that. It depends on what costume I want to wear. If I want to wear a new dress and I want to put a lot of rhinestones, it takes like a month to put all the rhinestones on. But the actual day I start doing drag, then it takes like 4 hours before I'm ready to leave.
That's the transformation process, like including makeup, wigs, outfits.
Everything, yeah.
Like it's a whole process of getting into the...
And mentally as well.
Mentally preparing for what you are about to do.
Yeah, and I'm not a makeup artist, and sometimes something goes wrong, so I need to have the time to redo some of the things.
Have you faced any challenges or just discrimination as a drag queen?
I only experienced a few things online. It was just like one guy was commenting on this post from one of the local news who had made an interview with me. That was it. A lot of people actually said against him. I was like, this is not the way you have to speak. And the first time, I think you've done it like 5 times or something. And the first time I was like, okay, I have to write him back and like, this is not the way you speak. And now I'm just like, let him, it's fine. And I'm actually okay that we're different and he just don't know what it is.
What advice would you give someone interested in starting drag?
Just a few words for that. Just do it. Try it, do it, and have fun with it. The one thing that I've learned that is just, we are all new to things. So if you just put on your mother's dress, then it's fine. And if you buy a wig in a toy store, then it's fine. You have to start somewhere, and you just have to start with what you have.
Just allowing yourself to explore something that you find interesting and like something that brings you joy, and that's really what it's all about.
Yeah.
How does your drag persona differ from your everyday self?
I think that my persona is me in an extended version. I often say the same things, but in a different tone, and I allow myself to say things that I probably say, but I say it louder. One thing that's very close to my heart is like now I say educating, but it's maybe not the right word, but helping young people to experience themselves and figure out who they are. I used to work in a movie theater, and we hired young people around 15 years old, and when they turned 18, their contract ended. Those 3 to 4 years to see how they evolve from being like a child to more like an adult version of themselves. And I love to see like the process and see like, okay, I was actually a part of this on their journey in their life to become an adult. And that's one thing I really love. I love to work with the young people to see them grow. That's actually one of the things that is most important. That I can be an inspiration, especially for young people, especially here, because in Copenhagen, or in other larger city in Denmark, then the queer community is larger. There's more room for everybody, and there's more people to like mirror themselves in. When I was young, I just went to a bar when I was like 14, 15. And the one thing I remember is that when you go there, I know according to the law, you're not allowed to get in, but because it's part of the community, I was allowed to get there, and people around me, I felt like they were taking care of me. I was like, okay, he's young, we need to protect him. And I think I have this with me since then. But if you live here, you don't have a gay bar. You don't have like other people to mirror yourself in the same way. The community is smaller, and I think a lot of people are hiding their sexuality. And I think a lot of young people want just to get away from here to experience that more vibrant life in Copenhagen or in other bigger cities, because then you can just go up to a place where there's actually made for you. I think it's the same if you like knitting and you want to go to a knitting club and you figure out, okay, there's other people who like to knit. I kind of think it's the same if you picture it that way.
Can you talk a bit about why it's important to experience representation?
I think for myself, it's like, especially when I was young, to see that I'm not the only one in the world. Like in the 90s, you always have like this gay best friend in TV series, and they were always the fun one. But you don't see that you can just be a regular guy who, for some reasons, are into men instead. So I think it's important that the spectrum is like, we see everything now. Often you compare it to women's rights as well. And I think it's kind of the same, that you have to see representation, either if you are in the queer community, woman, black, Asian, whatever, that you see this representation in the media and in the pop culture and everything, that there are different kinds of way of living your life and be part of the world. Representation is like we all have to be here, so you have to see different kind of people. Like, we are here and we are part of the world with you, and it doesn't matter if you don't like us, but we are here. One thing I thought about was like these big pride parades. A lot of people think it's just like party and glitter and men in small pants and drag queens, but it was actually made like a protest march like back in the days, and now it's more like a celebration of love, but it's still like a way of saying we are here. A lot of uneducated people says that this why we don't have a straight pride parade, but why do we need a straight pride parade? Because
every day is a straight pride parade.
Exactly. So I think it's quite important that we still have this. Bornholm just got their first parade.
Can you talk a little bit about your own experience in coming out?
One thing is that I've always had the feeling in me that I didn't need to have this coming out story. My mind was like 50 years further because I just wanted to be like, okay, this is my girl/boyfriend and it doesn't matter who it is. But I always have this feeling in me that I didn't have to say it out loud.
Just as normal as any straight person would experience.
Exactly. But one of the things I struggled most with was like giving up like the whole idea of a family, like in traditional way, with a man and a woman, 3 kids and a dog and a house and a car. And I think I had to figure out you can live your life differently and you can have a family in a different way. But that was the most difficult thing for me. It was to accept for myself that this was not the way it's going to be. Because I think I always knew that I wouldn't have this, but I just had to accept it myself. Usually I always talk about that we are standing on the shoulders from people in the past. But I think at the moment and what is happening in the world at the moment, I think that we are actually standing on the shoulders of the younger generation now because they are moving a lot of things forward. And it's quite interesting just to watch and be a part of and see how they express themselves. So yeah.
Why is it generally important as a human being to be able to be yourself in the world?
We have to be how we are. There should be room for different kind of people and there should be room for different ways to express yourself. If you are happy at what you're doing, then celebrate people about what they're doing. If you want to do drag or you are queer or want to be part of the world, it doesn't matter what you're doing as long as you do it for yourself and you're doing it because you like it. And then don't judge people about it. And maybe you can be open-minded to learn more, and maybe you can't agree, but the most important thing is that you listen and you accept people. I don't necessarily mean that you have to understand, but as long as you accept.
What are some of the most inspirational people for you in your life?
I think a lot of my friends inspires me.
When you made the decision to be like, I'm actually gonna do this drag, when was the exact moment that changed for you?
I actually took ownership of like, well, I can do this, let's try this. I've always had like daytime jobs that was just jobs for the money. And I think I just had a realization that I wanted to do something for myself and not just for the money. And I think that some reason it helped me out to do like things more creatively. And I've always done creative projects and things like drawing, knitting or something, and I only just did it just for fun and just did it like with no purpose. And I think I realized that if you want to do something creatively, you just have to own it and do it and make it a purpose.
Start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Usually a lot of drag queens, they talk as well. Okay. And that means you put on, a description. You use duct tape between your legs and turn on your penis behind your back so it's up between your cheeks. And then there's a room for your balls. Between your legs, you can actually squeeze them up. When I don't wear the tight dresses, I don't talk. It doesn't make sense for me. And it's painful if you don't do it right. I think we're going there. Got a bit of an ass. I'm actually, as a human, as a man, I don't have an ass at all. So actually it's a problem for me when I wear just regular jeans and pants because I don't have an ass to keep them on. And if I don't wear this padding, I just look like I'm going like this, my back, and then this. I know before I moved here, I knew it was difficult for Anders, my husband, that we were walking hand in hand in the streets of Nexø, because he had like his experience from his childhood. It was like that was not possible, but now we're doing it, so that's a small change. Yeah, but this is not just here. When you walk hand in hand with a man in Copenhagen, you will get stared at as well, and people will say things, so it's not different. But I actually think here they're just like, oh, well, that's not my problem. I think that's actually the way they think it here, and that's of course my opinion on this island.
Or your experience.
Yeah, exactly. And what I see, I know that I don't see everything, and I know for a fact that queer here, I think, and I know that it's difficult to just fit in a local school, and you get bullied. I got bullied when I went to school, but when I compare it to what I know some of my friends have experienced here, I think it's nothing like that.